You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks, Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop, and Braden Boakes of Littlebug Woodworking. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Welcome to episode 208 of another Woodshop podcast, where this week we are joined by one of the royalties of making mosaics, making incredible signs with impeccable detail that literally turn wood into art. She's an artist, a maker, a mother of 3 children, one of them dog-shaped, and a part of an unstoppable duo, along with her partner in crime, Lizzie, in the 30 and 30 challenge. Please help me welcome Ashley Wooten from Ashwood Hawke. Woo!
Hello.
What's up? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was like a really good intro. I feel like that I'm gonna need that written down so I can save it for later.
I got you. We'll flip it for you. I try to aim to please with my guests or our guests. And you know who else aims to please, Dan?
Probably our patrons.
There we go.
We got 3 new patrons this week.
Dang.
Wow. 3.
Oh,
count them. Count all of them. 1, 2, 3.
Wait, I was supposed to do.
Oh, you need to turn that up.
I'm sorry.
You can barely hear that.
I'll do it again.
Do it again. There it is. Yes, 3 new patrons. And I'd like to shout those out now. Jared Foster of Foster Designs. Greg D'Ambrosio.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, Greg.
D'Ambrosia.
Mary, and also Mary Feria. That name sounds familiar.
Is that Mary from Surf Prep?
I think so.
Oh my God.
And as always, we like to give a special shout out to all of our VIP patrons, and they are as follows in no particular order, but in the order that's on my screen. Jared Foster of Foster Designs, leading off the list. Jake Miller from A Sweet Shop, Alex Adams from Type A Furniture, John Herbolsheimer from Living Laugh Woodworks, Luke Bosworth from LJB Makes, Jared LaPuma from LL Builds, Tyler Booth over at Temecula Yard Games, Henry Lutens from Manfreda Wood, Richard Don't Twerk.
What?
Richard Don't Twerk at Elevated Design Co.
Scotty.
Charlie Coons from Stubby K Studio. Hugh Janus is back.
It's Hugh.
Matthew Abelman. Justin Frazier from Fraser Canyon Woodworks. Sarah with Rosie's Woodshop. Jesse McIntyre from Sage Hill Woodcraft. Michael at Gillette Woodworks. El Jefe from Maker's Way. Wim Designs from Wim Designs. The Mayo Packet, that would be Nick Bram Woodworking. Max does not make out with Mindy from Reid Design Co.
What a twist from last week.
I know, right? That's wow. Matt Maynard.
Wait, I was so confused because it's Max from Reid Design Co, but there's also Max from
Yes, we have 2 Maxes.
It's very complicated. People are making out with people. We don't know who, but I'm sure that we can probably solve this mystery.
So can people just change their names on their? So
yeah,
our patrons will change their names to trip me up. Yeah,
they lock it in at the beginning, so they're like, "This is the joke. Like, I'm sticking with this one forever."
Gotcha.
Let's continue with Matt Maynard over at Patriotic Pines. Bill Burkle from WTB Woodworking. Justin Addy from Calvary Customs. Ashwood and Falcon at Patrick Ginsel.
And Falcon.
Okay.
Wrong
Patrick.
bird of prey. Wrong bird of prey.
Oh my goodness. Scott Shirk at Red Lake Custom Woodworks. Max and Mindy Coons at Stubby K Studio. Ooh. Justin Bailey from Campfire Woodworks and Ford Ance's Design Co. That would be Kyle Foote. Thank you to all of our patrons. We appreciate you guys. You keep this thing going, this thing that we lovingly call a podcast?
Question mark.
If you want to help us financially, you can go over to patreon.com/a another Woodshop podcast and get signed up for one of our 4 tiers over there. And I'm talking TIERS, not tears that
Not
come
the
from my
crying.
eye.
If you want sub,
we would
we have
love
the other type.
to. We would love to embrace you into the man army.
The bosom that is.
Embrace you into the bosom of the male army.
Just bring you close, make you feel safe.
I gotta say, we're either getting more top tier patrons or the names are getting longer and more elaborate.
It's,
That was the longest
I think it's a
segment
little.
we've had.
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Okay.
To be honest,
I want to do a personal call out to some of our patrons have actually sent us gifts from our registry, and that was
we have a registry.
mine and Emma's because the baby, remember?
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Wait.
baby that we're having,
Okay.
You guys are having a baby?
and like
Is that how I get gifts? I just knock my wife up. Is that?
do it again, buddy.
I think it's too late in the game. I'm gonna be
But
honest.
it's so heartwarming that like people, and actually we've had even like other listeners, someone from I think it was from Australia that like bought us something small off of Amazon. It like arrived in the house the next day with a lovely note. And he's like, love the podcast. I'm like, what? Like,
That's so cool.
How did you
people
find
are
my
involved
address?
in like my baby come into this world. Like, this is incredible. I do love this community. I just want to shout out our patrons.
Braden raises a good question. Like, no, that's sweet, but like, how did you find me?
It's on the registry. They don't actually know the address.
Yeah, Justin
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
Amazon
I don't know how
sends it.
registry
And-
works.
and Max and Mindy Coon sent us something. Justin Bale.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
they're awesome. They're incredible. And you guys are so generous. Thank you so much. We love you guys. That's so sweet.
So that's probably a better idea to set up like a registry, because Dan and I had the bright idea, like we just keep going into different truck stop bathrooms and writing to send gifts and then putting our addresses.
Just do a QR code.
And let me tell you,
Not
it
Resist the
works.
QR code.
Let me tell you,
I'm
it
telling
works.
you what, truck drivers
but-
can't use QR codes.
Oh,
They
fair.
don't.
The plan is working. It's just not working the way that we were expecting. It's
Yeah.
very different than what we wanted.
I'm
So.
getting all sorts of weird messages. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Ashley's nervous.
No, it's okay. No need to be nervous. And you know why there's no need to be nervous? Because our sponsor this week is Maker Camp, the most
Hey.
wholesome of events that we do all year, every year. Maker Camp is probably our favorite event. We love going to it. It's becoming a yearly tradition. I will literally have a 2-month-old, and my wife is like, "You're going to Maker Camp. Like you're gonna have to." And we're probably gonna try.
Not just you.
Is she gonna go and bring the baby?
That's the plan. We hope to survive the contact with the enemy, so the plan survives, but we'll see. But we're super excited for Maker Camp. It's going to be a grand old time. For those of you planning ahead, or this is the first time you're hearing it, it's October 11th through the 14th. So it's actually the second week of October, not the first. Oh, Ashley did that
Second.
face like her schedule just cleared up. And she
I feel like
cannot make
that's
it.
good news for
Let's do
me.
this because it's now 3 weeks from the Piney Festival. which is
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of East Coast love out here. There's a lot of fun events. Dan and Braden, come on out.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
we're
took-
gonna be there.
yeah, I took
If I make
a
the
week.
trip, you can make the trip.
Yeah, she made the trip. She drove because she's not a coward.
Why are we using the tone of voice like it was ever in question? I took the week before and after off. Like I'm moving in.
And then you flew to the wrong airport.
Yeah. So,
Pete's never gonna let you live that down.
hey, listen, we booked the flights to the other coast all on the phone at the same time with Dan physically in the chair next to me.
Yeah.
We had
Watching
to
the
do it that
computer.
way after the Maker Camp
after the
debacle.
incident.
Wait, what happened? You flew to the
Oh,
wrong airport?
Braden, do explain.
Maker Camp, something happens every year. So the first year, so 2 years ago is when I first met Dan. And like 3 weeks after I met this stranger from the internet, he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to the middle of the woods in a different state where there's no cell service and no police?" And I said,
Yeah.
"No, that's a terrible idea. Mama didn't raise no fool." So didn't go. And then last year I did go. We booked all of our flights. Turns out there's a daily flight at the exact same time every single day of the week out to New York. And I wasn't paying attention.
LaGuardia.
And I didn't book the Thursday flight. I booked the Friday flight. And so we hit like 4 hours before the flight. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I haven't gotten a notification to check in. Like, I need to go check in because I'm leaving for the airport here in like an hour. Well, I didn't have the option to check in because I booked the wrong day. And so I got to fix it, and I got reamed buying the second ticket.
Oh,
And they knew it, and they smiled while they did it to me. And the most upsetting point of the entire thing, like we got on the plane, like Dan and I, we got our pre-flight Bloody Marys, and we step on the plane.
Bloody Marys, plural.
Yes. We get on the plane. I'm like, this thing, like with as much as I just spent to get this ticket, they bumped somebody off this flight to get me on. Like this thing's gonna be packed. We get on, the plane is
Empty.
2/3 empty, and I about lost my mind.
Forgot about that.
So needless to say, we drowned my pain, and Dan was an excellent emotional support buddy
system.
Yep. And so we land, we see Pete for the first time, and we're all happy to see each other. And then Dan and I just about trip over nothing trying to get to the car.
The word prancing comes to mind.
Okay.
Prancing to the vehicle. The thing was, if he was flying into like Newark Airport, less than an hour away from me, great commute, nice and easy. They went into LaGuardia, which is
because it was cheaper.
Driving through, it's cheaper, and we agree.
Yeah, but that's a far drive for you.
It's hell to
But
drive.
it's all about saving me money, Ashley.
2 toll bridges. You got to go over one bridge and another bridge to pay. You got to drive through Manhattan to the opposite side of New York.
Side, yep.
And it's like a 2-hour drive. And then the worst part is I go there and I go to try to park. The parking lot is closed. You can't park. This big boy's got to pee because I drank a giant diet tea, whatever Braden's been.
Can you imagine how much you would have to pee if you drank a giant bottle of freaking green tea?
These guys run into the car, they're drunk, and they're all happy to see me. I'm like, I'm really happy to see you guys. I gotta go. So
get in the car now.
Hour and a half, I was definitely breaking some speed limits and made it back home. But anyway,
you didn't pull over to pee?
No. It was just like, I probably should. But it's like,
there's just nowhere to pull over on the New Jersey highways.
The side of the road.
There's no trees until you get to where I live. I live out in the boonies, so like there's trees out here. But anyway,
and that's the story of how Pete got kidney problems.
Yeah.
So
no, I've got my adult knees now.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I work for a dialysis company. That's like a classic joke. All right. So anyways, this is the longest ad read we've ever done. There's no read, but guys, you can see how much fun we had before even getting to Maker Camp. It's an amazing event. Tons of makers, tons of brands, and there's a hands-on event. So there's different tiers of tickets you can get. Anything from the daily passes that are hands-off that you just go and enjoy the event, which by the way, awesome just to do that and see everything happening. If you want to be hands-on, you can join the classes, do blacksmithing, there's slabbing, there's leatherwork.
You had me at slabbing.
Emma and I learned welding 2 years ago. She's better than me at welding. I was kind of a kick in an arm.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
And that's how she got pregnant.
It's just like, oh, weld for me, babe. Anyways, we have a great time at this event. So that's the hands off, and the hands on is with the classes. And you can do a daily pass or you can do the full weekend. There's a silver pass. It comes with a camp spot, so you can pull in a camper van, like a small one, or camper van, or a small camper. Actually, a full-size camper is part of the same thing, right?
But I wanted to mention the new option they have where you can rent a
yurt.
glamping tent or a yurt.
They have yurts. You're right.
This is my hand gesture for yurts. This is a yurt.
It's just a stout tent. It's so nice. Yes. I'm actually really excited to see those this year, but there's a lot of great options. Then there's also the gold tier, which last year comes with like all the meals and everything. You can stay on premises. There is a small hotel there. You can camp. You can rent out. People have actually rented out RVs that get brought to the location, parked, and you literally just walk up to it like an Airbnb, or you get an Airbnb like we do. So it's a grand old time, but here's the best part. We're giving away 2 tickets. The tickets are going to be given out the first or the last week in August, first week in September, that episode. So we're going to have a code phrase at some point during this episode, and you're going to have to email that code phrase to awpgiveaway@gmail.com. and then Dan's going to compile that into a spreadsheet or something.
And that is something that we're going to do for every episode that is sponsored by Maker Camp, when we have several coming up this quarter.
This year.
Dan,
This year.
every episode sponsored by Maker Camp is going to have a code?
Not
Yes.
every episode.
Everyone? That's so many entries.
You could have multiple entries,
Multiples.
more than one.
One's
Possibly.
Also, if you want bonus entries, DM me and I will send you Dan's personal cell phone number so you can text him.
No.
But we'll get to that.
That is not
part.
accurate.
And if you guys have any questions about Maker Camp, honestly, reach out to any one of us. We'll tell you that number 1, go. Number 2, don't not go. Number 3, profit. So like you're gonna have a great time. You got to go.
It's so good. It's worth buying 2 plane tickets too.
Yeah. All right. Enough with the shenanigans. We're literally still in the intro, but I just want to get to our guest this week. Ashley's here from Ashwood and Hawke. We're very excited to have you on. You are quite literally one of the royalties of the sign community, the mosaic community. You're one of the cool peeps that everyone wants to be like. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who, as we say, who the hell do you think you are? Who are you, and why should we care? Go.
Well, thank you again. I'm Ashley, Ashwood and Hawke. Gosh, I don't even, it's so hard to talk about myself, but I started woodworking in 2021, so I still feel like a baby, which is really crazy to hear you speak so highly of me, because I don't know, it's sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm not doing enough, but I do feel like I'm still so new to it. So that's really cool.
I think we all can relate to that, though.
Yeah.
What? Another huge maker in the community with imposter syndrome? I would have
No,
never guessed.
not us,
Would have never
never.
guessed.
So what got you into making? Like, what's your origin story? Like, were we just like, oh, that's a hand.
Your villain origin
my
story.
villain?
scroll saw
story?
thing? Or did somebody like throw a scroll saw at you and you're like, oh, this
No. Yeah, let's just try it out. No. So
Right at
I
the
was a
face.
hairstylist for 10 years. And then I had kids and didn't want to go back to hair. I was kind of over it. I had bounced around. I've moved around a lot. And I just was so tired of building a new clientele. Like I'm over it. Don't want to do that. We moved here to Tennessee and have like this house has really tall ceilings. And I was like, I just want to put something on this wall here. And I think I saw a video on Instagram that was like a 10-second reel of like, go to Home Depot, buy this piece of underlayment, buy these 1x2s, nail them together, bam, you have an art piece. And I was like, easy, I can do that.
Easy
How hard
peasy.
can it be? I can do that.
Right?
So I went out and bought everything, but I had to call my brother-in-law because I was like, I don't understand. How do you make them make a triangle, but then like still touch the other side and come out at different angles? And he's like, just cut everything on a 45. I was like, oh, okay. And then it just went from there. I think I built one piece. I actually still have it. It's hanging in my hallway now. And then I think I posted about it on like my personal Facebook page, and I had a friend from California reach out and she's like, I was about to buy one of these off Etsy, but if you want to make it for me, I'd rather pay you. It's like, okay, cool. So my like second or third mosaic that I ever made was a commission. And then I feel like it all kind of just like snowballed from there. And I just kept going.
I love
That's
it.
super relatable, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people's origin story. It's like, I
Mhm.
wanted to make a nice thing for myself, whether it was like, I'm poor
Yeah.
and I can't afford to buy it and I just want to make my own version, or like, I just want to try it, or, I'm going to learn how to use these tools or whatever. So like,
Yeah.
you did that and then someone liked it. And then you're like, oh, I guess I
Oh, I guess
Hey,
Yeah.
can you make that for me?
I guess
Yeah.
I guess. Do
This
you
is
have
my
Yes,
life.
I
money?
could. Right. And it's cool because I felt like I had kind of been missing a creative outlet, doing hair for so long. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years and I didn't have that creative outlet anymore. So it felt nice to kind of have something that I felt like I could go and do for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, having some sort of creative outlet is super key, especially when you're at home a lot and you don't have to go to like a 9-to-5 job. And yes, I can relate to that like so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm where I'm at too.
I also
Not that I did hair, but
You weren't a hairstylist?
no, believe it or not, no.
It was a photographer. It was also an art form.
I came from a photography background. So
Don't
yes.
sell yourself short, Dan. You went from art to, working for yourself, turning a hobby into a business.
Yes.
See,
yes.
I have a really soft spot in my heart for mosaics. I mean, if you're watching a video, I literally have like a geometric thing behind me. Because my brain doesn't think flowing lines. And I'm good friends with Keith Johnson, and he's right down the street. And I was helping him actually make these curves, these templates and everything. And I'm like, how does your brain think of these? Like, you just have this like flowing lines and you're like, it's too aggressive. We got to taper this or whatever. I'm like, what are you already seeing? I'm just seeing lines on paper. And like my brain thinks in angles, in triangles, in squares or circles that are perfect. No ovals. Like it needs to be symmetrical or a pattern or something. And mosaics.
Pete, you're such a square.
Exactly. And mosaics just like make me happy. Like this just looks pretty, and it's the angles I understand. So
I love it.
happy with that.
I feel like mosaics make me happy too. It's like sometimes if I feel like I'm in a funk or creatively, I'm like, I'm feeling stuck. I just go make a mosaic like that. There's something about it. Like I just go out with a plan, and the mosaic tells me what it wants to do. And I'm like, I'm already in a better headspace. Like I'm already in a better headspace.
I can totally relate to that. I went through like a little mosaic phase a couple years ago. And they are so enjoyable.
Aren't they fun?
I always went out with no plan. And I just kind of like had like a color scheme that I wanted to go.
Yes.
And then I would just go. I would just do things, and no, I don't like that. And I just kind of messed around, and
you move it all around.
Before you know it, like you had this art piece, and it felt good. It felt great.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to overthink it too. Like in the beginning, I felt like I needed to draw everything out, and then I would have this idea, but I would get out into the shop and that wouldn't work. Like what I thought I drew in my head wouldn't actually work when I was putting the mosaic together. So now whenever people ask me like, do you draw everything? I'm like, nope, I just have an idea. I start in the center and it tells me where to go.
Yeah. Just make a center point and then just go from there.
That's the stage that I'm at. Like I've looked at a lot of your content, and I want to do mosaics. Like they're just the coolest freaking things. And I literally have a 18 by 18 piece of ply that I cut, and I'm like, this is my mosaic piece. I'm going to do this. And then immediately, just like my brain locked up, I'm like,
Pros.
No. Back to the laser, back to the CNC.
Draw your center line and go.
I'm just what you need to do, Braden, is draw that center line like Ashley said, and then just make a bunch of strips, just a bunch, and then just start throwing stuff on there and seeing what feels good, and then just kind of like going with that.
I need to do that because that was going to be also my outlet for my Dan scraps, because I literally cannot fit one single more Dan scrap in my Dan scrap box.
By the way, I need you to come get more scraps.
More Dan scraps.
I mean,
so now you have to make a mosaic.
I'm going to do it because I cannot pass up material ever. But I do not.
If you can't get it, I'm going to make a call out right now. Like I have a bunch of walnut scraps that if somebody wants to come get.
You can mail them to me.
But yeah, I do not have one.
I feel like there are guys local to me that have a business solely off my scraps.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Find yourself a friend that has a business busy enough where his scraps are your like wood you would buy.
Right. Yeah.
It's like finding like a good cabinet shop, because like for them, I mean, we've talked about efficiency. Like they'll just move on to a full sheet of something or a full piece, but like they're good. It's good scraps. Don't burn it. It's good scrap. But
I was telling Cohen, he's like, what do I save and what do I, well, if it's something like this big, we save it for like Braden or Nick. They're gonna come get it eventually.
Oh, you mean like in width? I thought you meant like length. I'm like, you can't even get a width. Okay,
like it's one mosaic piece. That's it. That's all you get.
It's like that. I'm gonna cut a 1 inch by 1 inch cube for every follower I get.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a panel glue up to get my 1 inch by 1 inch block. We save those pieces for Braden and Nick. But no, like I've just been in that headspace, and I'm at the point where like I keep moving this mosaic backer to like one side of the shop and the other. I'm like,
Mhm.
Oh, you
I
gotta
have
just do
to
it, man.
do.
You just
I
gotta
have
do
to
it.
do
Commit.
Wait,
this.
does everyone
Yeah.
have a project board in their shop? You're like, I'm saving this for this
No.
thing. Oh,
No.
I have
My
one.
project board is up here.
No, I have like
Yeah.
no. Not a board of
Like a piece of material.
piece of material that you're like, this is for this thing. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
But
saying.
I need to finish this thing first. And it just moves around your shop until
Yes.
one day you're like, you either do it or you literally just toss it.
See, my problem is I have a bunch of those, and then Dan and I keep finding smoking deals on giant ass slabs, and so I just keep doing slab work.
We could talk about that. I don't know if we're gonna get to what's on my bench, but we could talk about the smoking deal that we found
I saw you guys were
a couple days ago.
slabbing.
Dan and I we just like pick random days and we just like wander the Midwest finding deals that we don't need
And getting Taco Bell.
Oh my
and getting
goodness.
Taco Bell.
You said
We
that
couldn't-
just for the sound.
You know. Well, this is also
That's what he
something they
does.
do.
No,
Alright, so-
we found a slab supplier. They gave us white oak slabs. We got 6 giant white oak slabs for $200.
Yeah, gal I work
Dang.
with, her husband does.
We're not talking small slabs
slabbing.
either. We're,
Wow.
This
one of
the,
the slabs was 3.5 inches thick.
the shortest one is 7 feet long,
Ooh.
and they're all like 32 inches or bigger across. So like
That's-
So are you
we couldn't
starting
say
a
no.
table business?
We couldn't say no.
yeah, we can't say no.
There's-
Like we built
There's
tables.
things coming up.
Yeah.
Some stuff coming up. All right, well,
but
let's
so-
get back to our guest here.
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. So okay.
No,
So
it's about me. It's about me.
So yeah, so you started building, you made this mosaic, and then it kind of started to spiral into that. Now you're doing like logo signs, and you're working with businesses, and you're known for this.
It evolved.
How did it evolve from making some pretty mosaics for like the wall to like corporate branding type stuff?
Yeah, what was next? Signs or furniture? Actually, I'm curious.
I feel like technically signs came first, and then the furniture is a little bit more of a recent thing. I've built furniture like for myself, like the bookshelf or a little bench or something small, but the bigger furniture is more recent. I feel like sign making was kind of just like a natural progression from making mosaics. It's like, okay, well, now what else can I do? Like, I'm a very, I love to learn things. Like, I really just, it's hard. Everybody says like, oh, well, you should pick your niche or niche down or whatever. I'm like, no, I want to do it all. Like, I don't want to box myself in, and I want to have the skill set to build the mosaic or make the sign. So I think after mosaics, I was like, okay, well, a scroll saw looks really cool, so I'm gonna try that. And but I do feel like it was more just fun signs. I made a really cool one a couple years ago. It was a very retro, like 70s style sign, and at the time I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever made. Like, I love it so much.
The one
And
with like, the colors like kind of coming out from
yeah, it was like
center?
kind of the art.
Oh, that
no,
one.
that
No,
one was
no.
after
Oh, I-
that.
the
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
It said good vibes only. It
Good
was on
vibes
like
only,
a
yep.
solid walnut backer. And I took that to one of my markets that I did and was like, I priced it at a number that was like, oh, did you find it? You're
Yeah.
good.
I
That
was one off.
fast. That one was like,
Braden's a bit of a stalker.
yeah, he knew
I don't know if
exactly
you
where
know.
he was going with that one.
We do research for the guests, Dan.
Oh,
Yeah, some of us
Research.
actually take a look.
Research.
I like to fly by the seat of my pants.
We can tell.
Yeah, this isn't new. This isn't new information.
But yeah, I think it kind of just evolved from there. I don't know. I like to keep it constantly changing. And I feel like the more stuff I can do, the more I can further my skill set, and my work is only going to get better by learning other skills. Like, I might learn something building a table that I'm like, how could I apply that to a sign? Or how could I apply that to my mosaics? Like, I used to buy lath strips for my mosaics, and now I'm using hardwood almost all the time. So I'm actually cutting the strips down. So that I don't know. I feel like it's always a progression and a furthering of my skills.
Yeah, it's
Can
been-
I
Go ahead.
Can I just say that I have seen the progression and I see that you are getting better. So you saying
Thank
that is
you.
like
Yeah, no,
actually
that's literally
Thank
what I was
coming to
you.
fruit.
like stuff I like. I remember the first time I watched you shape pieces by hand,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like with a little like Dremel or
Like
something.
a Dremel,
I
yeah,
think you had a little like nick or something. You like nicked yourself a bit. But you were
probably.
Dremel into pieces, and I'm like, oh my god, that's right. That she like shapes each piece by hand. Because then you look at the final piece and you go, they're all rounded. Even with the good vibes
Mm-hmm.
only, like the flowers they had, like all the edges were rounded over. So that was like the
Yeah.
first version of it. But then like when you have these flowing pieces, you can't like round over with a little router. You have to like get in there
Mm-hmm.
by hand. And I remember that blowing my mind. Like I think first time I saw the cowgirl. Is that
The
her?
cowgirl. Oh,
I
I
know you
love
worked
the
on that one for a while.
cowgirl.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you had it at the Pine Barren Maker Fest, and I
yes.
like got up close, and I'm like, this is just straight up 3-dimensional. Like this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is
That one I think is my like that's my favorite thing I think I've ever made
yeah.
so
I
far.
enjoy
So
that.
far.
That's been a pretty cool one. By the way, I have to know because again, I don't do a lot of signs. How
Yeah.
do you stick everything on? Do you do any kind of
Glue.
packing? But what kind of glue? Are you doing CA glue? Or are you doing something like?
I do wood glue, and then I'll use a little bit of CA glue as like a clamp because
Okay.
that will, especially with something like that where there's a lot of pieces, I want to make sure that it stays. So I'll do wood glue, but because I can't shoot a nail into it to keep it there because it would, and you don't want that in the face of the art. I just use a CA glue as like a little clamp.
I feel like with mosaics, a lot of times you end up like with some kind of pin nail or something in. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the traditional way
Yeah.
to do it. But I'm seeing more and more of these mosaics and artworks with no mounting, like no hardware pieces in there. It looks really
And
clean.
well, we do fill the holes. Like on the hardwood mosaic, go back through and fill all the holes. But
Mm.
I also don't think that you need to put a nail in every single piece when you're using wood glue.
Fair. Now, what about
Like,
this with designs? Because sometimes you have like almost photo, like I remember you did a book series of like
oh yeah,
ladies reading books.
all my book girls.
Yeah, book girls. And like, were those files, or did you like? Are you artistically inclined? Are you drawing a lot of these designs, or are you
No.
creating SVGs? Are you using performance enhancing SVGs?
Oh, what the heck?
Um, so actually, I am a little bit of a unique situation there because my husband is an artist, a tattoo artist. So all of my book girls, I was like, this is what I want. Can you draw this for me? And I mean, he'll just sit down and be like, here you go.
Oh, that's so
So
nice.
then I could then take that. And for the book girls, I cut those all by hand. So those were all, he just like gave me a printed piece of paper and I went and glued it or taped it to a piece of wood and cut that out.
Okay, so I have to ask the question that the little elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan on getting a CNC, or do you feel like
I have
that?
a CNC.
He has a CNC.
Do you-
I do.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Tell me
I
you
do
don't
have a
look at it.
CNC.
I'll show myself out. Big deal.
It's okay, Dan.
No, but I
Just
think
flying
I
by the
know
seat
where
of your
you were
pants.
going. I think I know where you were going with that because I just
Well,
got a
I
laser
thought that you
too.
did everything by hand with the scroll saw and the Dremel and everything.
I do most. So for me, I feel like I'm still learning the capabilities of my CNC and how I can like transfer that into what I do.
Okay.
But I mostly have used my CNC so far for cutting out circles, or I've made like little catch-all trays, or I'll make, what did I make? Oh, my propagation planters. I have these little like hexagon propagation planters that hang on a wall. So I built the file for the CNC and just had that cut out a bunch of them for me because before I was doing it, I built a jig for the table saw, but first I was doing it on my miter saw. Then I built a jig for the table saw. But the first like prototype that I made, I had like a U-shaped cutout to put the glass tube in. And I was cutting that by hand on the scroll saw. And they're like an inch thick hard maple. So that was a pain. So I've run that on the CNC. But I think when I first got the laser, there was a part of me that was like, is this cheating? Like how, because I do love to cut everything by hand, but it's cool to see how I can use the laser to enhance what I do, not to like replicate what I do.
Yeah.
If that makes
Enhance.
sense.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah. I think I saw where you're going with that.
You
Well, thank you.
you
Thank you.
honestly have gotten ridiculously good with a scroll saw. Like you took
Thank
to
you.
it really well. Like I would. First of all, one of Emma's favorite events at at Workbench Con was
Yes.
you, Lizzie, just like bringing her in and too like just bringing her in like she's one of the girls and family. Like
That's right.
Yeah, like
you
we're
were,
all
you
gonna
were
do
at
it.
you were at the scroll saw
Yeah,
booth.
and you were
and-
Yeah, when you
Oh,
hopped on the
scroll
scroll
saw the
saw and we're just like,
And he's been drinking already, and he killed
Yeah.
him. He was so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I was so mad at him.
I was like, there's no way you've never done this before.
And
so
I-
honest hand to God. You know,
Honestly,
whatever.
I think Dan's hands
This is the
shaking.
first time
Yeah,
I've
I was
ever
gonna
done
say
that.
it was
saw.
it was the steadiest we've ever seen Dan.
I think
Dan's hands.
Crazy. No, Dan was genuinely magnificent when he did that. Well, like you guys,
And those
like,
saws
everyone-
were shaking more than they
Oh, yeah,
normally
the
do
whole
too, because of
table
the
was-
I don't
table.
want to brag,
Yeah.
but I got a pretty steady hand.
Dan had built-in like steering stabilizers. That's what it was. It's all shock.
Like
I
you
gotta
guys,
find that video. That video's out there somewhere. I don't know if I ever posted
It's
I
on
it.
think
your
you
phone.
you did
Oh, you
post
did
it.
post
it. Did I
You
post it?
posted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they did the
'Cause
Dave meow with the puppet, and,
Oh yes.
and then Jeff from
Yeah.
Maker's Way
Oh, that's
had
right.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some good ones in there.
Listen, we all had the time of our lives.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But it is crazy to see, like, you know, you said like, oh, I'm new to this. I started in 2021, and like a lot of our patrons now are people that have started in the last couple of years. They're not even
Yeah.
like from the COVID generation. Like a lot of people started, 2020 happened and I got laid off, so I
Mhm.
started woodworking. Like it's people that started even like over the last couple of years, and they're looking to grow to the next step. Like never ever underestimate the level of experience you can earn in I
In
don't want
a
to say in
quick
just 3
period
years,
of
but
time.
3 years. Like
True.
Yeah.
True.
And- you know, some things that like to me stand out is like, yeah, you started 3 years ago. Now you have large tools in your shop because your business will now depend on it, and you formed relationships with brands. And
Right.
on that topic, you were actually sponsored or worked with Grizzly,
With Grizzly.
one of the most
Yeah.
elusive of
Wow.
brands.
Yeah.
You know, doing it for what, 2 years, and then Grizzly was like, "Hey, we love what you do. Let's work together." Like that's
Actually,
awesome.
I've been seeing Grizzly more and more lately. I feel like
Grizzly's
they're stepping
popping
up
off.
their
So-
social
No.
media game.
They are. They brought in a company that I don't know what it's called, but basically they have a company that is now helping them reach out to brand or to
It's
have them
noticeable.
bring in influencers. Yeah. Whereas before I felt like there was a select few people that they worked through, and that when I was working with them, it was like a direct contact at Grizzly.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go through the company that they're working with now. So that's changed, I feel like, within the last like 6 or 8 months or something.
Just within the last few weeks, I've noticed.
They're popping off on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Step up.
Of all places.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
you know your brand made it when you're doing well on TikTok. Like
Right.
you're getting it.
hmm
Well, actually, speaking of like TikTok and other brands, where's your bread and butter? I mean, I'm assuming it's Instagram, but how are you doing
It's
those other
Instagram.
platforms?
I haven't really put a ton of effort into any other platform really. TikTok I did a few years ago, and I had a couple viral videos that went like pretty viral. And you know, it was always people that are like wanting to talk shit on what I was doing.
yeah,
So
I can
that's like the
imagine.
best kind of
That's
engagement.
yeah. Your hatred
that's-
fuels me.
Right. Exactly.
That's my bread and butter. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's how I live.
Oh, I think I'll have to go and find it. I think the last time I looked, it was like, I mean, it was 7 million, which at the time I felt like was really, really big.
Oh.
I know there's people that get like way more views than that on TikTok.
7 million
but
on TikTok is that's a
people
lot.
were,
That's pretty good.
I was making, it's pretty good. I was making a like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I had a friend that made hats, and he used these like hat forms to form the hats, but they seriously look like a toilet bowl seat. Like that's what it looked like. And he needed a way to store them. So I built a box, a bit like plywood box, and I was inserting dowels instead of doing like plywood shelves in it, kind of, so that he could just put the hat forms in and have them sitting there. but I was using, I think, 1/2-inch plywood, and I really wanted to make sure that the dowels were secure. So I drilled and I like hammered them through all the way. Well, when you're editing a video, you're not showing every single part. So I guess I didn't even think about it, but I didn't show the clip of me actually putting glue on the dowels when I put them in. And then I was flush cutting them with like a pole saw. People lost their
Oh yeah,
minds.
people just assume.
Right, because I
they
didn't
know.
put glue on it. You're not doing, that's not doing
You're just out here
anything, or you're
dry
gonna cut your
doweling?
finger off. Yes.
You're raw dog in the dowels.
Those are gonna fly out of there the first time he uses
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that one took off, but I feel like, I don't know, TikTok for me right now is not, I don't put enough effort into it. And I do feel like that platform has changed a lot. Like TikTok wants more talking heads. They want you to just come on
Yeah.
and tell a story and talk. It's not the same sort of content that I make for Instagram. So I'm trying to figure out how to use the same videos, but make different content. Because also at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to post the same video on a YouTube short, the same video on TikTok, and the same video on Instagram. Like if people follow me on all 3 platforms, they're going to be like, cool, why are you posting this 3 times?
Yeah, but that's not always the case though. I feel like I do the post a video on every platform. So I've been, the last few weeks I've been posting. So I'll post to Instagram, then I'll post to Facebook, then I'll post to YouTube Shorts, then I'll post to TikTok, and the traction is always different. And it's
Okay.
the
And you post the same
engagement's
video?
always different. Yeah, absolutely.
It's really
Why not? Because I don't feel like my followership is always the same.
I mean, we shared
Right,
your
that makes
YouTube
sense.
Shorts the other day, where like you had a video that like bombed on YouTube Shorts, blew up on Instagram, and then vice versa, bombed on Instagram.
Overnight,
on YouTube
that
Shorts.
YouTube Shorts video blew up. It's
Yeah.
at 20,000 views.
I heard
Oh,
you
wow.
talking crap. That's what it was.
Yeah.
They're like, we got to push this out.
That 20,000 views, that's blown up for me. I'm small.
Have you
small
noticed
potatoes.
that YouTube Shorts kind of take off slower though?
They
I just
do,
recently
they do.
started posting over there, and I've had a couple that got like, I don't know, 1,500 views, which I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome. But no, actually, I think there was more than that. But I would go back and check it, and it said like no views in 4 hours or something. And I was like, oh shit, this one's gonna do terrible.
Mine literally had 39 views after 8 hours, and then I went to bed. I woke up the next morning and it had 15,000 views or something like that. I can't remember
Yeah.
the exact.
It's a delayed
It was in
start.
the thousands.
I think that's where mine wound up too, somewhere around there. But it was really slow to take off.
Yeah, it's wild.
It means you guys are probably pretty big in the Asian markets based on time,
Right.
based on time
Yeah.
zones.
Based on the time zone.
Just based on
Okay.
time zones.
You wake up and go, oh, I got all of Asia.
But TikTok, I cannot figure out TikTok. I have more followers on TikTok than I do on any platform, and all
Really?
my videos do horrible there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because you're not hawking 13-cent garbage
Well, maybe
for
I should
TikTok
do
Shop
more
because that's
TikTok
You're not
Shop
hawking
videos,
Ashwood,
apparently.
okay?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I posted a video there earlier today. It's like 12 hours ago. I just looked at it. 500 views.
Yeah, it seems like TikTok right now, and not right now, but like as long as I can remember, recently has been pushing TikTok Shop. So I think if you're not an account that is either set up with TikTok Shop that's not pushing stuff, it seems like they just kind of like back burner your content. Because it's like I'll be scrolling and it's like 3 of 5 videos is somebody selling
every other one.
somebody selling me
something.
this Govee light right here that I
know.
bought from TikTok Shop.
You know what really sucks about TikTok Shop too? Like they push for you as a creator, especially if you make items, to be on TikTok Shop. We changed over to TikTok Shop, which means it turned our account into a business account. Essentially, we are not eligible for any of the creator funds, any of that stuff.
And your music choices are
And the music
abysmal.
choices are abysmal. Perfect word, Dan. Like it's awful. Emma constantly, because she posts.
That's my word of the week.
My main video on Instagram, and I'll put it in a folder. Emma reposts it for me everywhere, and she's always like, "This music sucks. This is the worst." So I've been trying to like have videos that actually have their own sound, or it's either ASMR or sounds or a voiceover. Because sometimes we just got to go. You know what? Screw it. No music. Here's your audio.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of sucks that they limit their creators. Like, you want us to sell, but you want us to create content. Like, give us both.
Heck,
So if you sell on TikTok Shop, you aren't eligible for their like creator rewards program or whatever it's called.
Nope.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
I
a
didn't know that.
bummer. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why, like, I signed up for it with my account, but honestly, I might change it over. I almost have thought about going the route of, like, we get some sales into TikTok.
I think that might be
Nothing major.
my downfall. I think I switched over to business instead of creator.
Honestly, for you, Dan, unless you're getting TikTok Shop sales, just
I'm not. I don't do TikTok Shop.
change it over, change it back to creator. I found that we're getting decent sales, but our views are down. It just like doesn't feel right. And then the thing is, they want you to tag your items in TikTok Shop, but I personally, when I'm watching a video, if it has the orange TikTok Shop thing, I don't even know see what it is. I swipe away immediately. And almost all of my posts now have that because that's what they keep telling me to do because I'm a TikTok Shop account. It's trash and it's misleading and I hate it. I want to go back to creator.
It feels like QVC.
Yeah, well, that's what's his name? Brad Rodriguez. He started he had Fix This Build That, and then he started a 3D printing page, FTBT 3D, Fix This Build That 3D, and he started that page, and that is a TikTok Shop account separate from his regular account. I'm like,
see, that's the smart way to do it.
But I got to tell you, setting up
sounds like
TikTok
a lot of extra work to me.
Yes, and linking it with your Shopify. Pain in the butt. Pain in the Ashwood. I'll tell you that. It was a lot of work. It was a lot.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet.
All right, I'm gonna be a little brash, and I want to ask this question because you're newish to the community, newish to the sport of woodworking. And there's nothing more that random men on the internet love is to just tell a woman she's doing stuff wrong.
Oh, God.
I would love to hear your experience as being a new woodworker, very open about your processes, how long you've been doing it, and everything you're doing. You're putting your life out there. What has your experience been like being a woman and making, especially having a badass like Lizzie, who is one of the most badass chicks I know, that's like, I don't take crap from nobody. And I feel like the more you guys hang out, the more I'm seeing Lizzie in you and your So what's that been like? And are you actually getting a lot of crap, or are you standing your ground?
Oh, I can imagine.
It really depends. It does. It really depends. And like, speaking of Lizzie, I don't know if you guys saw the videos that we did when we made that like massive circle frame at her shop. When I went up there for her like giant sign, it's like the 6-foot circle frame.
The one that we used for the photo for the promo.
Yes, that one. Those videos all did really, really well, but I'm still getting comments every once in a while where the comments are 99% of the time. If it's a negative comment, it's not about the work that we're doing. It's about our attire. It's about our clothing or our body every single time. Like, people aren't paying attention, like to the point where somebody said something about like, why do I need to see your camel toe? And I was like, if that's all that you're looking at in
why
this video,
are you zooming in?
Right, if that's all you're taking from this video, you have missed the point. Like, I can't control where your eyes go, but if that's what you're looking at, then you're not here for the right reasons.
Listen, if I have to look at Ben Ueda in his damn underwear making some sexy piece of wood into something sexier, then you know what? I'll look at it.
Next time Ueda posts something like that, I'm gonna make that comment. Why do I gotta look at your camel toe?
Which is weird because I get the exact same comment on a lot of my posts, but I feel like it's for kind of a slightly different reason. So
no, they say moose knuckle.
That's a Canadian term. Well,
that just goes to show you that the internet is still in a freaking awful place.
Yeah,
just a cesspool.
I think it's also an awesome place because for every one of those ash holes, you're gonna have
rides the line. It's
no,
6 to 1, half a dozen of the other. I mean, it could be awesome, but it could be a cesspool.
But like, listen, for every one of those jerks, you're gonna have like a community member come in and be like, "Shut up, dude," or "F you," or whatever, and like just step in where they're gonna back you up because like you did something pretty impressive. you in 3 short years rallied a community behind you. That's big.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the major reasons we wanted to have you on this podcast. It's like, you did something impressive. Like, you
Thank you.
in 3 years just gathered these people around you, you made a family, and like they're all ingrained in your like we're very lucky, me and Emma, to like know you, have chatted with you, and like know part of your life and everything. And like, that's pretty cool. And we get to know you, and we're all this like big extended family now. And like, some of us have been in this for like 8 years. You have the old guard that we all like looked up to and why we want to
The
be
old
content
guard.
creators. Well, you know, like the Brad Rodriguez, the, you know, Cam, and like these guys have been doing it. Jimmy DeResta for a
Yeah.
decade or
Sam.
decades. Or
The
Sam.
the word is classic, not old.
Classic. Oh,
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Like a
Braden.
classic
I was
car.
vintage.
feeling
Yeah.
attacked.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
vintage makers.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since 1997.
the coax cable makers, you know.
Back in my day, I powered my saw with my pedals.
Well, like, it's really cool to see someone step in and nothing but positive vibes. I don't think I've ever heard you like be negative about anything. I love it.
Oh, thank you. And I feel like I try really, like, I don't, not that I try, but that's something that is important to me, is to like, I don't know. I'm not a drama. And I feel like every girl that says this, you're like, yeah, sure. You're sure you're not a drama person, but I'm not. Like,
those girls.
I'm not into that. I never have been.
Are you saying you're not with other girls?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But I don't want to do drama. That's not what I feel like I want. That's not who I want to be in this community. I don't want anybody to ever look at me and be like, ugh, that girl's mean, or that girl's not including me in, you know, her little group or whatever. Like, I do feel like I found a family, and I found like-minded people, and like honestly some of my closest friends through this community, that like, it blows my mind that I didn't know them 3 years ago. Like, the first time I met Patrick and Carlina was at their festival, but I had talked to them for months on the internet. And then I'm like, oh, sure, I'll drive 13 hours in one day to your house to do this festival. And I'm like, I
Friend that I met
talked
on
to
the
them.
internet.
And now
Friend that
they're
I met on
family.
the internet. Right. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
Lizzie too, you know, and there's so many people that I feel like I cannot imagine not knowing them, and how different my life would be if I never got into this space, or I never put myself out there. And it can be really scary to be the new person coming into it. Like, I remember my first year at Workbench, I was like, I can't go talk to anybody. I'm so nervous. Like, I needed a security blanket friend with me, like somebody that I knew. So I was
think
like, I'm just gonna
Lizzie's
cling
perfect
to
for
you. She was, but I don't know. I don't remember. Was she there that year? Yes,
she was. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're there,
she was there.
That, right?
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah,
good
she was
breaker.
there. Yeah, for sure. And Becca too, Southern Pine Design, felt like she was kind of, because her and I were rooming together. So I was like, you're just my security blanket. Wherever you go, I'll go. And, you know, but it took me probably a day or so to like break out of my shell, I feel like, and start talking to people. And if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't gone or put myself out there, like, I don't think I would have built the relationships that I have now. And the only thing that was stopping me from doing that in the first place was me, because I was nervous.
Yes. I can relate to that so much. I think my first year at Workbench Con was pretty much the same. Like, I had a security blanket, and I was nervous to go talk to these people that I looked up to and I followed on the internet. And lo and behold, they're just people.
They're just
All
people.
of them,
Yeah.
all of them jerks.
Right.
Every last one of them.
So mean. It's the worst experience.
That's true. Everyone
99 out of 100, they're pretty cool.
But
there's that one.
The nice thing about this community too, and at least in my experience, the assholes get filtered out.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
Really just get filtered.
Yeah.
They just kind of die off, or they go into their own little group, and like you truly can just like keep the nice people that you want in your tribe. And
Right.
And the real mean people, or the rude people, or the ones that truly aren't there for you, they just kind of wither away and they go into their own thing. So
It blows my mind though that, like, I don't know how much I want to say here. There are
Mama.
people who think that the community is cliquey and like feel like there's this like toxic sort of vibe within the woodworker community. And I'm like, how? Like how? But then when I see the people that I see think it's toxic are usually the ones that are starting the drama or are being a problem. I'm like, but you're not opening yourself up and allowing this community to truly be there for you. And then you're telling them how terrible they are. Like, how is that going to build community? Because that's not the way to do it.
I love this because I literally was like, me and Emma had this conversation of like you and Lizzie and a couple other girls were like, they're like, and like Carlina, they're like these cool bohemian, like they got their own little group of like they're all scroll saw artists and they do mosaics. Like she like almost didn't want to like bother you. But
no, I
like
love her.
And like I started talking to you because I'm one of those people that like when I see someone I think is cool in a community and is just doing good stuff, despite their work, like I mean your work is great, but like even if the work's not there, if the community aspect is there, they're active,
Right.
always there. Because there's tons of makers that we have that
that's why we have Braden with us, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, like I don't put out art.
Diversity
I like
hire.
to think I'm in the community. Like I'm all about the community. And I was like, Emma, go hang out with them, whatever. And you guys immediately were just like, yeah, come here. Like we're just
Come here.
Yeah, and it was so welcoming. I'm like, this is why I freaking love this community because we could all just be friends.
Hey,
Yeah.
are you ready to blood into the scroll saw gang? First, you gotta kill someone.
First rule about the scroll saw gang, though, you can't talk about the scroll saw gang.
And second rule is you don't use the multi-directional blade. Right?
Oh, the spiral blade.
Spiral blade?
Oh,
Do we not use
I
the
can't
spiral
do
blade?
it. No,
I thought we did use
I
the
don't
spiral
use.
blade.
I do not. I think I got in a little bit of trouble at Workbench because I was like, no, don't use
I'm
that
gonna be
one.
honest. I forgot everything I learned at Workbench Con.
It's okay. You didn't need to learn anything because you apparently already knew how to use a scroll saw.
Yeah.
I'm a pro. I'm a pro.
It's like was that movie where you're like, I blacked out. What happened? Did we win?
Did we win?
Well, we talked briefly about like the different groups within the maker space and how we can have like completely different groups and like just not really interact even in the same space. And I think a lot of people read into that as cliques, but they're not. They're just like it's just people building each other up. And I have yet to meet anybody that wasn't aggressively welcoming in the space. Like they're not silos. They're just pyramids in the same little sandy desert sort of thing.
But I also think it's like a box that you put yourself in. Like if you think that this is cliquey, it's because you have put yourself in this box where you're like, well, that's not what I want to be about. Like I can go to PB Maker Fest and hang out with Patrick and Carlina. There's a group of us girls that are all going to North Carolina, and last year we went to Florida and did a girls trip. This year we're going to North Carolina. It's like
how do I get an invite to that?
I was gonna say,
you're not a girl.
This clip.
I could be. This is 2024, Ashley.
Oh, sorry.
It's not clicky, but you're not allowed, Dan.
Damn it.
Girls
this trip is for the girls.
It's fine. We're gonna have our own beach trip.
I'm working on my upper body area. I could pass off.
I don't like how you describe your upper body area. Don't.
Okay.
Anyway,
edit this out, Petey.
Nope. This is gonna be a clip.
This is here. Dan's upper body area show title.
Yep.
Oh God!
No, I choose
we
the
can't do that
show
to
titles.
Ashley.
That's not it.
No, we cannot do that to Ashley. It's the title of our episode. But Dan,
listen,
we do
I get
need
enough
a code
comments
phrase
about my body on the internet, so let's not do that to other people, okay?
We actually, yes, we do need a code phrase for the Maker Camp ticket giveaway, and I have something written down that I think is spectacular.
Oh, is it bussin'?
No.
I don't like
no, I mean, is the code phrase bussing, not is the code phrase bussin'.
No, I'm in agreement with Kapani. That is a hate crime. I don't like it. No, the code phrase is going to be raw dogging dowels.
Oh my God. Oh, that's on that track.
I had no idea where you were going to go with this,
No.
No idea.
We said it like 30 minutes
Yeah.
ago.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Ashley
remember
agreeing. Yeah,
I remember saying it. I just
So if you want to send the code phrase raw doggy dowels to awpgiveaway@gmail.com, you can get entered into the drawing for the Maker Camp ticket
this is
that we're
it.
giving away.
This is the one that gets us pulled off of all of the platforms.
Pulled off the air.
Is that it? Is that the one?
The word
Listen,
raw
we said
dog
we
did
wanted to
it.
break records, right?
Listen, if Mitch can name his company Horn Dog Maps, we can say this.
Raw doggy dowels. Send it to us in email.
Non-pasteurized dowels.
Jeez.
Get
All right.
it? Raw.
I think because there's more questions we can ask, but we actually have some questions from our listeners that I think will kind of guide the conversation a little bit. And I want to start out with one from Mike, although I have to play a little. Which one do we use for questions? I forget. I think is it the Black Betty? That's not working. Never mind. We're not playing the audio now. But let me play the question from Mike Suter, because this is actually a craft fair question, which Ashley does a lot of. So this is going to be good.
Hey guys, this is Mike with WoodworkerVsCancer, and in August, Gravel Worlds is going to give me a booth to their expo, and Gravel Worlds is one of the largest gravel races in the U.S., and they'll have about 2,000 cyclists and some runners, and then they have their expo Thursday and Friday where I'll have the booth, and they expect about 5,000 people there. And St. Jude might be there with me, somebody representing them, so which would be cool. But I'm looking for ideas on what I can make on the CNC that would sell well. It's kind of probably similar to a craft show, and I know all you guys have done craft shows. So I'm also going to make finisher plaques that they can put their number in so they can actually buy those there. But then I'm going to also offer to make ones that are specific, so that would have their finish time, elevation, everything, which I'd have to make afterwards. But just looking for any ideas on what might work well there. Thanks a lot. Later.
All right.
Before we answer the question, I want to point out he's very, very specific that it's the biggest gravel race and like tons of bicyclists. And then like he very pointedly is like, and there's some runners. Like I feel like the runners are just like they can't afford or lost their bikes. Like they're bicyclists that just misplaced their wheels.
Initially missed the whole runner and bike thing. I thought this was like drag races on gravel or something.
Okay. I'm glad someone else. I'm thinking race cars. I'm like,
no, he's talking about
gravel?
bicycles and runners.
We have no idea what this event is, and he explained it, and we're more confused.
He
So
even
love
texted
that.
us some photos. He did. So, I mean, well, why don't we start with Ashley? So, like, what would you recommend for an event that you're going to that might not be necessarily exactly a craft fair, but there is going to be a lot of people looking to buy stuff, especially memorabilia? Like, what would be your go-to if you're going to a themed event?
Ooh, on the spot.
Yeah, I do feel like I am gonna have a little bit of a hard time answering because I literally do not understand what the event is. But
Well, I think it's a runners and bikers doing a race, and then however they place, they get a number or whatever, and then they often will frame it or something. And I guess that's what he's making.
And it all happens on gravel.
Think a marathon, but with bicycles.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I feel like the race probably has a logo of some sort. So I feel like I would incorporate that somehow into like a little, not a trophy, but like a little plaque type thing that you can put their information or their runtime, or they can somehow attach their little like tag to it. Yeah, I would do something very themed towards the event, but I also think the one thing that I found really important at shows is to have things that are a cheaper price point. Like you can have your big ticket items, but you need to have something that somebody's going to walk up and be like, oh yeah, I'll spend $20 on this.
Yes.
Because those little $20 sales really add up. Whereas if everything is over a certain price point, you're gonna price yourself out with the majority of the people that are there because they don't want to spend that much money. Or if it's too big, they don't want to carry it around the whole time. So you need something that's small and easy, like pocket money in a sense.
So to not make it any more confusing, but this is one of the things that he made for it, and there's somehow a sword involved. So
Okay, so that's really cool.
I don't understand the
I
sword.
don't get the sword.
I don't understand the sword either, but maybe
then-
it was like the trophy. That's what they get if they win.
like another logo or something too. Or I guess that's their like logo as part of the like the swords. I don't know. There's
The
gravel,
swords.
and there's
Whichever-
running, there's bikes.
Whichever bikes, it's a Mad Max style race. So whichever like person racing takes out the most competitors, like they get the sword.
I actually
I
kind of
really
want to
didn't think
participate
you
in
were
this
like
bike,
I thought you were
bike
being
race now.
serious for a second.
I'm never
No.
100% sure if I'm being serious or not. I'm not. I have no idea.
Well, Dan, what about you?
I will say I'll agree 100% with Ashley. You're going to want to make something that you can customize to your people there, your customer base, and something that is cheap. Because Braden and I, we've done our fair share of craft fairs, and the things that we do the best at are the smaller priced items that we can sell a lot of. I.e. the whiskey smokers. We take a lot of whiskey smokers to the craft fairs. We sell a lot of them. $25 an item. And the thing that puts it over the top is if you can customize it on site. And I think that's the thing that's gonna help drive sales for this event that you're talking about, Mike. As a matter of fact, since you're local to me and Braden, if you want to borrow my portable laser, I would be more than happy to let you, because it's all for a good cause. And I will give you like a rundown. It's so easy. So if you want to like make trophies that you sent us in a picture, and if you want to be able to customize everybody's trophies with their times and their names and stuff, like, I got you, man. I would be more than happy to let you borrow my laser, my portable laser. So,
Or the Nick Brimotron Laser Jig 3000, right?
no, I got the Laser Pecker LP2. It's actually pretty slick.
It
Yeah.
doesn't involve an entire cart and small
No,
generator
it doesn't.
run.
It
Well,
doesn't.
you made a cart for it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Nick has a cart, and it's got a smoke filtration system, which is great if you're going to be indoors somewhere. But I feel like Mike is going to be outdoors, so that's
a
not
lot
a
of
big
gravel
problem.
indoors.
Yeah, gravel's not indoors anyway.
And having that laser there to do that will drive more people.
Yeah,
to
and
your
you
booth,
could
too,
do
'cause
it
people are
right
gonna
on your
see it.
phone. It's super easy. Braden, what say you?
Well, I mean, we
Did I just
saw-
take all your answers?
I
hope
mean,
did.
let's be honest. We all were going to be kind of on the same path. It's a lot of customization, but I mean, the laser drew people in. It drew all 10 people at that last craft fair
Oh,
in attendance. And I think it's kind of like a fly or like mosquitoes to like the mosquito electric thing.
Moth
Like
to a flame.
yeah, it's a lot of lights, and people are like, why is there smoke inside? Should we be worried? And then next thing you know, they're walking off with something. But I totally agree. Find something that you can batch out and then personalize it. And I would go a step further. I would lean into the Maker for St. Jude side as well, because you can do something that has like the gravel races, like their logo, but you can really lean into the charity aspect of your business. People love supporting St. Jude's, especially if you have somebody from St. Jude's there. You can lean into that so hard, and that's going to generate a lot of revenue. And I know Mike donates literally every penny,
everything, every
St.
penny
Jude's.
that he makes, not just the
it's not
profits.
like a proceed. Yeah, it's not like a
It's
proceeds.
everything.
So I would lean into that, play up the story, not play up, but, lean into the story, lean into where the money goes, and make some sort of like memorabilia item for the event that they can also feel good that, hey, I'm spending $20, but really I'm donating $20 to St. Jude's.
For the children.
Yeah, it's for the children.
You can tell
With
people,
the
you can tell
laser,
people like, are you okay with childhood cancer? Are you for childhood cancer? You should buy this thing then. Yeah. Who's going to say no to that?
That's right. Hey, get out your checkbook. If you don't, you're pro childhood cancer. So
Yeah.
fix this right now.
What
on
a
the record.
monster you are.
And then start live streaming them. Like just really push hard. But yeah, no, find lower price point items. I would take one of your bigger items, just so that you can show it and you might be able to get commissions. I've gotten some pretty decent commissions afterwards because they don't want to carry it at the event. And I don't think that they could take a shaker table home on the back of a bicycle, but
Bad attitude.
you might be able to get some people that are, are moved by the story, moved by the, kind of where your background is. And you might be able to generate some sales there for later. So that's kind of where I take it.
True. Peter?
I was kind of thinking, you guys covered some great topics. Customization, small grab items, always that's key. I was initially, when I was thinking this was like a car race or a drag race or whatever, I was thinking like, oh, there's a bunch of men just racing their cars. So I'm like, all right, what are like man gifts? And even if the wives are, I know it sounds silly, but like there's a theme there. Like there's, if it's a monster truck rally or drag race or whatever, or some kind of car thing, like you want whiskey smokers, you want like stuff that's geared towards gifts for dad.
Tell you what.
Yeah, exactly. But given that it's a bike and running type of thing, you might actually be able to do okay with some kind of cutting board, maybe with some kind of laser engraved, like these people are health nuts a lot of times. Some kind of like health thing on it or whatever. Or maybe like, one thing that's pretty popular is bike racks, especially like in cities. People that like a nice wooden bike rack that you can like take your bike and actually hang it up off the wall a little bit. Like something like that. You might be able to actually capitalize on the theme of the event and make some stuff that you can then also sell later on down the line. It's not like you're making a plaque just for the event. If you don't sell it, you're done. Stop it.
I think a couple years ago, Mike and I talked about making some sort of like bike hanger that you could hang up on the wall.
Yeah. It's very popular in like New York and in Jersey because like everyone's packed on top of each other. No one garages and stuff. So like it's a great way to store your bikes, and for people that ride their bikes, they really care about their.
I think it was Mike.
So try to capitalize on a theme. I think I like that idea. I think it's a good way to lean into it, and everything else that these guys said is great.
Pete, I don't have a bike, much less multiple bikes, to constitute an entire rack.
That would necessitate a bike
rack for
no,
bikes.
So wait, no, you're
Wayne's
thinking of a bike rack.
I'm just making a Wayne's World joke.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got it, Breezy.
That's it.
I was like, wait, no, do you think I mean like in front of a school where you
like in front of a store?
No. I don't have a gun, much less multiple guns, to constitute an entire rack for them.
No, he says necessitate.
Necessitate.
You kids.
I know that scene like the back of my hand. Necessitate.
All right, next question is from Max and Mindy Coons, Stubby K Studio.
Hey fellas, this is Max from Stubby K Studio. I've got a question for you today, but I do see that you've got a new member of the podcast, so we owe someone a openly gray t-shirt. Even though he may not be openly gray yet, he will eventually be. So I've got a question about CAD CAM. I've got my Onefinity. I'm setting it up right now, and thanks Pete for the advice on the Pone CNC water-cooled spindle. Got that too. The question I have is, what would you recommend for CAD CAM that's not outrageously expensive? I'm really very well versed with easel because I've been using that with my CNC for the past couple of years, and I know I can generate G-code with that, but I know that's also for gerbil-based controllers, and this is Masso-based. So any insight that you could give would be appreciated, and we'll be looking forward to hearing your podcast this evening. Have a good evening.
Good question. I'm going to be real quick with this answer. Look at Vectric. They have Cut 2D, which is their baseline software that no one knows about. Everyone's like, oh, what do I get, VCarve or Aspire? Like, do you want to spend $700 or $2,000? or you can spend a couple. I think it's a 149, including a free
149,
trial.
yeah.
Yeah, for the
Cut
Cut
2D.
2D, which is basically it's just each version of the program is the same program with extra features.
Right.
So
I think
Cut
we all
2D
learned about Cut 2D at Workbench
at
Con.
Workbench
And
Con,
we were
and
like,
it's
wow,
awesome.
I
watched
didn't know
some
that was a
demos
thing.
on it. It's so
Yeah.
good. So that's my answer. Breezy, what are you using?
Vectric. I mean, I'm all about Vectric. I used
By the
a
way, not
bunch of the other.
sponsored. None of us are sponsored.
No, not sponsored.
It's just the solution right now.
I used a bunch of the other softwares when I was having that like weird tracking issue on my CNC, and I thought it was like a G code thing. And man, Vectric, like, it's just so easy. Like all of the other ones I felt, and I don't mean anything bad because I know a lot of people like the other programs, but like it almost felt like I was going back to controlling my CNC with like a crayon box. So I'm a huge fan of Vectric. Dan? I know what Dan uses.
Yeah, obviously I use Vectric too, but I'm gonna sidestep a little bit and say look into Carveco. I've heard good things about Carveco.
I heard some good things about it as well. I
It's
haven't
not
personally used it.
it's not crazy expensive. I know it comes with Onefinity, so it's kind of a Onefinity backed software, so it can't be awful. It's certainly a little bit better than Easel, which is that's a free software, right?
There's a paid version.
There's a paid version too.
There's a paid version. But yeah, I would just parrot everything that Braden and Pete said. But Ashley,
I don't have anything to really input here. I use Easel, but that's only because I'm a Mac user and I don't want to run parallels.
which is
Actually-
completely understandable, actually.
Great reason.
I had to buy a PC based laptop just to run my Vectric software.
That's
But
what
I was happy to do it. I bought the cheapest laptop I could find.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
what
basically all it does.
I kind of considered that if I ever feel like I am like I need to do more than Easel allows me to do, I'll just go buy a cheap PC and that will be like my CNC computer and then I'll figure out another software there. But I really don't want to learn a new one. Like Easel is still working for me for what I need to do. So I'm not
If it's
there
broken,
yet.
why change it?
That's
If it's
yeah,
broke,
that's
don't fix it.
that's the real trick. Is
Or
it's,
wait, no, that's not the same. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
if it's
Right.
not definitely probably maybe broken, try something new. And yeah, that's the real trick here. Is all of these programs have tons of really cool features. We use Profile and Pocket Cuts for like 99% of the stuff that we all do.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Find the one that does what you need to do, and stop spending money.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah, the cheap option sometimes is the best. And also to learn, to also figure it out. All right, let's jump into next question we're going to play from is from Malcolm. Can't words hard today.
The voice of AWP?
The voice of AWP. There it is. Malcolm.
Hey guys, it's Malcolm from Bossanova Woodworks, and this week I just wanted to see if you had any tips for finding businesses that you could sell your products or services to. How do you build those relationships? For example, Pete, I know you have the ice climbing tools. Braden, you have the puzzle boxes. Lizzie and Ashley have custom logo signs along with the other work that they do. So any advice that you can share on how you found and developed those relationships would be helpful. Thanks.
I think this is a great question for Ashley to start with.
Oh, it's honestly for me, it's just asking, putting myself out there, seeing an opportunity and having the courage to present it to somebody. Like I was in a coffee shop the other day and I knew the owners, but they had just opened and I was like, I want to make you guys a sign. Like you have this little tiny space right here. I want to make you guys a sign. And she's like, what do you mean? She had no idea what I did. So I told her what I could do. And she's like, that sounds great. I want to do it. Let's do it. But I previously, or I know in the past, I would have felt like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. So I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to assume that this person wants to display my work. But if you don't do that sometimes, then you're not they'll never know. And then I
Right.
also feel like once you start working with businesses in the area, other people will see your work also, and other businesses will see it, and you can kind of build more relationships and a little bit more of a name for yourself locally that can lead to other opportunities. But you have to ask, you have to talk to people about what you want to do.
It's like the great Michael Scott once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky.
Callback.
Right?
Dan, then what do you suggest?
100% what Ashley said. You'll never get the answer that you're looking for if you don't at least present the question, right? So don't feel too bad, or don't hesitate to say, hey, this is what I do, this is what I can provide you. Put yourself out there. I don't do a whole lot of corporate work, I don't do a whole lot of work with businesses, but I am not afraid to at least give my card to somebody and say, hey, if you ever need something, I'm your guy. Because I have done some work for businesses in the local area, and that's how it came about. Also, another good way to get the attention of local businesses is to share a story of you being a purveyor of their business and tagging their business in your story. And then they can see who you are and be like, oh, actually, we need a thing, and that guy can provide the thing. I've gotten business that way too. B, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be afraid to ask. I would always rather be lucky than smart. That has worked well for me in life.
It's
in
worked well. It's worked so well for him.
Yeah,
Look
I would always rather be lucky. You need to make sure that you create yourself online. And I'm not talking about like posting Instagram, things like that, although that's important, but you need to build a brand that exists out there, whether you're hustling, whether you're sleeping, whatever. My number one biggest client found me, just reached out to me one day, Googled Omaha Woodworker or something like that, and somehow found me.
Which I don't know how, because I own OmahaWoodworker.com.
I have no idea. I have no idea how they found me, but he just called me one day or emailed me. And that's how I started working with them. And they originally reached out about the Plinko board that I ended up building.
I also own PlinkoBoardOmaha.com, which
I don't get it.
My SEO is, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I keep paying for like the letter A, PlinkoBoardsOmaha.com. So I show up in the phone book sooner. But no, I mean, so you have to create some sort of like online portfolio, information, how they can contact you, and just put yourself out there. If you put enough effort into like building that brand, it will do a lot of the selling for you. And people can reach out to you, and it's a very, very passive way to get customers, which you may have never, ever considered working with. I mean, my customer that I talk about all the time with the puzzle boxes, they're a financial institution. Like, I'm not walking into financial institutions to be like, hey, you need some corporate branding done?
You need puzzle boxes?
You need some puzzle boxes?
It's super weird.
Do you need a Plinko board? You just don't. So I love Shopify, but there's a bunch of different options for a website. Get yourself a website up there, get your contact information, get some examples of your work. Because Malcolm, I've seen your work. Your work's phenomenal. You need to be showing it off, and people will come find you to get work done. So build that presence and let it do a little bit of that hustling for you.
Can I add something real fast before Pete does?
Sure.
And I've seen this problem on photographers' websites back in the day, and I see it currently with woodworkers' websites. If you have a website out there and it's the most glorious website, and it's beautiful and it flows great and it showcases all your goods, but it doesn't share where you are based, you are failing. You need to have a home base of where you are in the world
A region, county, whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
I see it all the time because people
How
are
would
like
you
scared
display
to
that?
scared to post where they're at. You have to show up where you're at regionally. You have to. I'm sorry, Pete, go on.
A lot of
No,
my
but
stuff.
Ashley asked a good question.
Yeah, Ashley asked, how do you show that? So
Well,
all of my,
yeah, like, so where would you display that on your
In
website?
your about page
in
at
your about
least.
me,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Omaha
Yes.
based, all of
Or
my
so like when I did photography, the headline for my website was Omaha wedding photographer / Daniel Dunlap.
.com.
Like
Okay.
it's got to be somewhere. It has to show up
Like
somewhere in a search engine.
Or even like Ashley, for you could have a sign of state of Tennessee, and it's a logo, and,
Right.
and it's on websites you got like photos flying by, and it's like
Mhm.
this shop photo, this in black and white, and like we always have our
No, I would put it
photos.
somewhere that it's in text.
Well,
In
yes,
text,
So
so
it can
when
be
Google
SEO.
crawls your website, it can find that
Yes,
text.
I agree. But even if you had like an extra thing that was like Tennessee based or something,
Right.
just a little thing,
Right.
like whether it's in photo, and because this is getting into weeds here, but photos have metadata. They have data, and
Mhm.
like if you name a photo, Ashwood,
Oh yeah.
Tennessee based, whatever, that's searchable. That will actually be
Right.
searched in Google if that photo is named something that is specific, not image 48275.
Right. We're talking
Right.
about like alt text to
Yep,
an
exactly.
image.
Yeah.
That's why I name every single image I load on my website. Please send me freetablesaws.jpg.
Well,
Pete,
my answer is gonna be quick because I have not actually been. I am very open to work with brands, but with businesses. I've not been seeking it because I just haven't been not busy enough for it to happen. But I will say something. I'll share something that our dear Queen Elizabeth, and by Queen Elizabeth I mean Lizzie from House of Timber, has said, which is you got to have the audacity, and in this case, the audacity to be your biggest cheerleader when business comes to you. Because
Oh,
too many
right.
people are like,
Yes.
yeah, no, I mean, I just like, I just, and if I hear just in someone describing their business, I boil inside because it's like you immediately short sold yourself. No, you're a badass. You're like, you make this, you make that, you've created these things, or if not, you can. And if you can't, you just say like, hey, that's really cool outside of my scope, but I might have someone that can help you out. I do that all the time. But like, have the audacity to cheerlead yourself and back yourself up if business comes to you. They're like, hey, can you make us, somebody told me that you can do blah, blah, blah. I can actually help you out with that. I would love to sit down and chat about it. When's a good time, whatever. Like, say yes, or at least hear them out or whatever. Don't just short sell yourself immediately, because if Ashley just said like, oh no, I just make like furniture for myself, and didn't make that sign for that other person, she might not be doing what she's doing today.
I do want to kind of piggyback off
Yeah.
what you said though, because I think there's another important aspect to reaching out to like companies, and also it's just in who you network with in general. I've gotten to the point where like we have a neighborhood Facebook group for our neighborhood, but like also for our town. So it's like a town, and there's probably at least one post a day that somebody I know tags me in, where somebody's asking for somebody who can make something on a laser, or I think today it was somebody that can fix this stair spindle for me. And I was like, what you just said, I was like, I could, but I don't want to. You could probably go buy one of those at Home Depot or talk to this person who might be willing to help you.
I got a guy.
But right. But I have networked and built relationships with other business owners or other people who know what I do and are willing to recommend me to other people who are seeking something. So it's not just necessarily about going to the business, but tell people what you do. Everybody that you talk to, tell them what your business is, show them what you do, so that that person, maybe they won't be a customer, but maybe they know somebody else who will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
so this kind of leads into a big project that you and Lizzie are working on, where people are coming to you for the business. So you're just like putting it out there. Y'all are doing the 30 and 30 right now.
Yes.
For those that don't know, what the heck is that? And how did this come to be? And like, what are you doing?
It's the woodworking magazine hottest 30 under 30. Of course, they're both
Yeah.
duh.
30 under 30. Just a little bit close to that.
No one fact checks.
So I actually think it's really cool because the first time Lizzie ever talked about this project, as far as I know, or the first time I ever heard her talk about it, was actually on the podcast with you guys when she was on. She was telling you guys that she wanted to do it. And somehow her and I wound up talking about doing it together. And then it became this collaboration project because I think our work styles are really similar. Like we kind of have the same vibe with the art that we want to create. And we've always kind of wanted to do something and like team up and do something together. So this was the perfect project. So we want to do 30 signs in 30 days. And what that meant for us was like finding somebody or finding 30 people to come to us and let us build their sign. And what we were asking was like, give us a couple ideas of what you want, like whether it's a logo sign, whether it's a mosaic, whether you want it to be like bright and white, or whether you're dark and moody, or do you have a specific phrase that needs to be in there? Like, give me your must-haves, but we want creative control for the rest. Like we don't want it to be, we want it to be a creative project where we can collaborate on our art styles and give you a really cool piece of art. And then because we're doing so many of them at one time, it's sort of like a bulk discount. So you're getting a good price on a sign that you would probably never get at this rate aside from this. So that's that. And this is our first week. So because we are both working moms, we couldn't do 30 days back to back. We live 8 hours away from each other. So our 30 days are happening broken up over probably a 2-month time span. But so she's here this week and we've been working this week. Then I'm going to try and go to her, and then we'll kind of bounce back and forth to get the projects all done. So it'll be 30 days, but not consecutive.
I actually learned this week that you guys, well, Lizzie is actually way closer to me than I realized. Closer to Braden and I.
Yes.
So it would be fun. Like, I don't know. I'm going to invite myself down there.
Show up at our house. Hey, I'm
knock,
a big
knock.
fan. A real big fan.
I'm here. Well, it's, it comes right back to that word, the audacity. Dan just has the audacity to invite himself.
I got all kinds of audacity. It's not good, but it's there.
So how is the response been? Because I know when we saw it, like we lit up like a Christmas tree.
We did not fill all of the spots, but we felt like we got enough to make it worth our time. And then what we want to do with the remaining spots is our own artwork. So we'll still be doing the 30 signs in 30 days, but not all of them are going to be like already commissioned, already paid for.
I think the AWP is one of the proud like purveyors of
you guys are.
Is purveyor the word I'm looking for here?
I don't know. Oh, the idea started a podcast. We had to be a part of it.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's going to be super awkward because there's 3 of us and we're going to fight over the sign. So
well, we have a plan. Don't you worry. We have a plan.
Oh,
I know we filled out like our questionnaire about like phrases that are important, but we do need to update that. We think that Huck 2 is going to be really
raw dogging dowels needs to be added.
They're phrases that we think are gonna stand the test of time, and we really want to like lock that in, like just a really something classic.
I'll tell you what. You send me one of your patches, make me a patch, and I'll glue it to the back of your sign.
Perfect. So it's just gonna come right back.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I gotta say, you guys have been doing a really good job with the whole process, because we expressed interest, but we're all busy, really busy. I think Dan was like slammed with orders. I was slammed with something. Braden just got the box job, and we were all really busy. And you guys were following up, and then you followed up again. We were like very interested in doing it but it was like I gotta sit down, I gotta buy it, I gotta do, like fill out, like send you info. And then you send a questionnaire, and it's so professionally like written out. You guys ask for like color codes, you ask for any kind of like files or photos, inspiration photos, like the whole, do you like to be moody? Do you want it to be like flowery? Whatever. You ask such good questions.
Be honest.
Really get
Did you have a Chat GPT?
No,
Right
not at
there
all.
for you?
No,
we sat on my couch and typed. This was before, because we did that event in Gatlinburg in February, I want to say. I don't remember when we went, but so she came here and then we drove together, but we sat on my couch on Canva and like typed up this whole little thing. And Lizzie's incredible with wording and phrasing things. So it was a lot of like bouncing back and forth with like getting the verbiage and everything right. But just from doing enough consultations with our clients, I think we were kind of able to, because we want this to be like a quick timeline, we don't want to have to spend a lot of time consulting. So we wanted to give us all the information in one place so that we can take that and then make you a sign without having to do a lot of the back and forth.
I think that is something that we've touched on in the past about doing client builds and having a streamlined process where you can get the most information that you can possibly get, so that you don't have to spend so much time communicating back and forth, because that if you're doing that for 30 people, that is a huge time suck.
Yeah, exactly. And we wanted it to be accessible and like financially something that people could see the value in too. But we also needed to make sure that we weren't overextending ourselves. So we really needed to streamline the process. And I think by us having kind of a little bit of creative control too, it's like, okay, well, give us your handful of musts and then let us just take it and run with it, and we'll give you something really cool.
We know more than you.
Not necessarily, but we want to create art, and we want to create art that you're going to love. So we want it to mean something to you, but I also kind of want it to mean something to us.
That's the thing with art though. Like at some point, your client has to be able to go, okay, I hired you for a reason. I trust you, so I'm gonna give you the reins, and you get to take over.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that like our styles are really similar. So sometimes, and I don't know if this really applies or if you guys have experienced this, but like I'll get somebody that comes to me and asks for something. I'm like, I don't do that. Like that's not my style and my vibe. Like I'm just not going to do, like, I'm not going to take the time to like learn that or figure out.
I send all those people to Braden.
I want to do. They're like, no, you take this one.
No, but I don't want to do that.
I think because our styles are so similar that people could come to, like, they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
And they know that they'll get something cool. I mean, if hopefully they like our work if they're coming to us for it, but I think we didn't like, I lost my train of thought. I don't know, but I just feel like we are able to our work can cohesively blend well together to where people can trust that we're just going to get them a cool piece of art. I totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You guys have you're very similar in your styles. You both can do you tend to do like very flowy. You don't like it, despite the mosaics I talked about, like the angles and everything. You guys do tend to do very flowy work. I think you guys favor signs that have curves and have kind of rounded edges, and they look a little cleaner. That being said, you've also done, I've seen logos that you guys have both done that have been sharp edges or very, corporate-y looking or whatever it might be, but like still with that like vibe of the mosaic sign. And it's not always a mosaic, but you know what I mean? That style, it has like a vibe, even if there's no triangles in it, no lines, whatever. It's a vibe, and you guys.
It's like you can take a corporate logo, but like just give it a little bit of spice, sprinkle a little bit of spice on there,
a little cilantro. If you
a little cilantro. A little
you guys should do a series of like I've seen on TikTok like people redoing brand logos. And you guys just do your own versions of all the major brands.
We were just talking about this last night. Do you remember the girl she was a graphic designer and she would like fix people's logos,
Yeah,
but
she
she
did,
would
like-
do a terrible
Yeah,
job.
Oh,
Microsoft's
yes.
logo, and that like Microsoft
Yeah,
is
Microsoft,
the only person
they
Microsoft
follow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And she's so dry, so dry.
Oh, I know. It's like, and that's the
It
best.
was a bit, but man, I'm gonna be honest, it got old.
It did.
got
It did,
old.
but it was funny. It was a good one.
Hey,
But sometimes,
that's
you know,
great.
logos, like when we get the logo and we're like, oh, this is what I would do if I could. If I could change this logo, here's how I would change it. So with this, it's like, well, we're not going to change your logo, but we're going to do a little bit of extra somewhere else.
Love it.
Little Salt Bay on it.
Little flair.
A little bit of spice.
Spice. I love that. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see our logo. I know we're the first on your list, but no rush, no rush. Ours is probably pretty complex. So we get it. We get it. But
it'll be
lot of
worth the
moving
wait.
parts.
It'll be worth the wait.
a lot of moving parts on a still logo. But no, we're very excited to be working with you guys. We're happy that we're able to support. You know, and like we were in a fortunate position where like the podcast was able to pay you guys to do this
Oh,
thing.
cool.
And like that's like the podcast money that we, you know,
Wait,
well, you the 750, the 750, and then the 1,000 you sent me. That's good faith money that I'm gonna return 30 to you. Don't worry, the finances work out.
but I thought I had to get like 3 guys to
Don't worry about it.
Whoa.
We'll talk about
come
it
with
off
me,
air.
and
But
they had to
it's-
sign up for.
Oh no, that's your Longa Burger basket side business. Got it.
Oh,
Yeah, you're mixing them up.
I love that. Like Lizzie was on his podcast almost a year ago, talked about this project. We're on this podcast. We're like, hey, we can like the podcast can like have their own logo. Like, let's talk to them about it. And then we're paying it back to you guys, and like you guys are able to like run your business because, you know, little drop in the bucket to help to keep the machine going. And it's so cool to be a part of the process and also see the beginning. Like just like we've been watching you since the beginning of woodworking, like your woodworking career, and like seeing this develop and like what Lizzie's growing her business into, what you're growing your business into. It's so cool being part of that journey in some way and actually being able to step in and be like, because we're all makers, let's be real. We're
all a
see
family.
or whatever. And
Yeah.
this is like the Olive Garden.
I can make that too. That's the first reaction. But then the second reaction is like, no, that's cooler than I can do. And also I don't have time and I want to support. And
Anyways, where do I get my breadsticks?
when you're here, your family. Like Vin Diesel says, family.
Yeah,
Family.
just making logo mosaics 1/4 mile at a time.
That's awesome. We're super excited for the sign. Wait, can people still fill slots if they wanted to?
I'm gonna say yes. We have not taken the listing down, and I know that when we start, because we're kind of deciding, I think we're gonna hoard the content and like do it all at the end, maybe. But we've gotten on our stories a little bit, and we've gotten a couple messages from people that are like, "Wait, is it over? Are you guys done?" So I'm
Can
like,
you,
or
like,
people.
Break down for us a little bit for our listeners because we know exactly.
Yeah.
What is the 30 for 30 or 30 by 30 or
30.
Am I
30
butchering?
in 30. 30 in 30.
okay? What is that exactly?
So I think you missed this part.
Oh, did I?
Because
Was this
I think
was this the
maybe
part
you
where I
stepped-
went to the
think maybe
restroom?
you stepped out because we did go
Oh,
over
full
that.
awkward.
But
But
Full
do
circle.
the pitch so we can have we'll make this a clip. I love it. What's
and
the
I
30?
did.
Cool.
I forgot a part of it too. So I'll elaborate. I'll go bigger. So we're doing 30 signs in 30 days. But because we both are working moms and we live 8 hours away, our 30 days are going to be broken up over a period of time. But it'll still be like, it's not gonna be 30 consecutive days. She'll come to me for a week, I'll go there, vice versa, and we will make 30 signs in 30 days. We are giving people a kind of like a bulk discount for doing so many at one time and asking what your like top 5, you know, what's the vibe? Do you want bright and moody? Do you want it to be bright and moody, bright and light, or dark and moody? Do you have a logo? Do you have specific colors? Any requirements that like is your must have in here, and then give us creative control, creative freedom to do what we want to do on top of it. And we'll give you a really cool sign. but we added an extra bonus. So we're going to do a comprehensive like build video at the end where we go over all the 30 signs that we've done. But if you wanted a dedicated video for your sign only, that was an extra add-on that you could buy. And then we can do like a collaborative reel with you or your business so that you can have us kind of like telling the story of your sign or of your business as we make your sign.
So if anybody wants like a preview of the things that you've made in the past, they could probably go to your IG or Lizzie's IG
or Lizzie's
and get a good feel for what you do.
Yeah. And it doesn't have like the project, we didn't want it to be all logos. Like if you wanted a mosaic, we'll make you a mosaic. It could
just be anything, really, right?
It could be anything, right? Like if you want a cowgirl, like the cowgirl that I made, okay, cool, let's make you a cowgirl. Whatever. Like we have some really cool things that we get to make on this one.
You forgot one little feature that I read in it was in the contract. You guys also offer an upgrade if someone has a different size sign or they're looking for something a little bigger. You guys have a special rate for add-on, and basically you're doing square inch amount of space, which is really cool. So that like you're not trapped in that like format of that certain size. You can go a little bigger.
Yes. So we priced it for roughly about an 18 by 18 sign, but if you wanted to do like a 12 by 24 or something that works out to the same square inch size, we're doing that, but giving you the option to upgrade. So we have had a few people that have chosen to go bigger.
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
Love that. So if you guys want to try to get one of these signs, I'm going to throw the link in the show notes. That's going to be in there, and get yourself a sign if you need it. Here's your sign. There's your sign.
Damn it,
you took my joke.
Damn it. All right, let's finish it off with one last question. This one is from Max Reid, and then I'm probably going to wrap the show. But Max Reid.
Hi and hello. I recently was given an antique pocket door from a 2-flat in Old Town Chicago. It's about 9 tall, 2 thick, and still has the original 150-year-old brass handles. My question is, what the hell should I do with it? We thought about filling it with epoxy and turning it into our dining table. We discussed using it to display mosaics at our shows. Thank you again to Ashley for always answering my stupid mosaic questions. We even though about making it an art piece for our wall. Any idea and opinions would be much appreciated. Love you long time.
That's such a deep voice, Max. Got a frog in your throat.
Our boy's grown up.
He's all grown up. They finally descended. So I'm gonna jump on this real quick. I love the idea of it being a table. I have always had a weird obsession. Like I don't love vintagey things, but I love when vintage things are put under like glass and it makes a table or something. It's like an old steamer trunk and there's a glass top on top and that's their coffee table. Where like you're not actually like damaging the piece. You can appreciate it, but it's separated in some way. I've always liked that. But for craft fair, that might be a little tough. And I personally love the idea of it being like you display.
You just gonna take all the answers, Pete? Yeah. Is that your plan?
Well, that's the two things. Like I think you nailed it with those two options. Like I'm just saying, like whatever you're thinking, you guys are on the right track. I love it. Dan, what about you?
Let me
get your answers in before we steal them.
Actually, I think the idea of a table, like filling it in with epoxy and making it in a dining table, bad idea. I'll tell you why. Because those doors are typically not wide enough to be a dining table. They're pretty thin, not thickness, but like I'm seeing this table as like a 25 inches wide. That's just a little bit too.
It is narrow. 9 feet tall. It's just because you used the AI.
Yeah, but it's 9 feet tall and 24 inches wide, right?
At least
said 2.
I think he said
not
2 feet.
2 inches thick.
Oh.
So I'm gonna assume I have to assume that as a pocket door, it's not that wide. It's gonna be like 24 inches wide. It's not wide enough for a table. It's not. It's gonna be an awkward table. You could make it a table, but it's gonna be awkward. I think your best option is something that you already listed, and I mentioned this in the pre-show. I think it would be an amazing background for a display to show off your wares when you go to a craft fair or whatever.
I might put
And-
on like a hinge so you can kind of like.
Yep. Yes.
Ooh.
Ashley is shaking her head, so I want her to go next because she's going to agree with everything that I said.
That's technically
actually-
a nod, not a shake. Nod is an agreement.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Same thing. I'm
Yeah. Whatever Braden said. Yes.
I do though. I do totally agree. I don't love the epoxy table idea for the reasons that you said, but also that doors probably has so much character in it. If it's likely a solid wood door,
Yes.
you're going to lose that if you cover it in epoxy. You're not going to be able
Yeah.
to really see the texture. It's going to look like it's in glass.
Like
Really.
glass on top.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
glass.
See, I don't know, not my vibe. I love the idea of it being used as a display for markets, and putting it on a hinge is really smart. I don't know if you can get a hold of another one, but having two of them to hinge back like behind your table or at the back of your
Or
display.
Or even if you
This is
even
a
if you
set.
could
Oh,
Two.
is that what they got?
I
There's
believe,
two?
yeah, those exact two
Oh.
doors, I think.
Then
yeah, if it's
for
a
sure.
set, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
he's-
Put that on a hinge.
He
Yep.
sent that and said this is similar to what they got. So I don't know if they have two. I don't know.
But even if you don't
Yeah.
have two, I feel like you can figure out a way to either like hinge it from a different part on your display or just use that as
Just
a
like
standalone piece.
X
that you
some and try to stain
Plotted,
it to
like-
match.
like a stand for it with two legs.
Yeah.
Huh.
mhm. And then you can
I don't-
hang, I mean, if you want to drill holes into it, you can hang your mosaics onto it. Otherwise, you can figure out a way to like put a shelf onto
I was
it,
thinking
like that you
shelves
can
too.
kind of clip. Yeah, you could, I
Ooh.
mean, drill it in from the backside or
Like
something
a-
so that you're not.
A plant stand, if you're into that, actually would be cool.
Ooh.
Plant stand would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Braden.
Yep.
I'm
Look-
here all week. I got ideas for days.
Listen, I'm just gonna come out and say it. One, those are all fantastic ideas, but Dan is completely wrong. What you need to
I agree.
do is you need to take that table.
This is
and
awkward.
I get it. It's narrow. It's probably not wide enough on its own to be a dining room table. What you need to do, novel idea, rip that son a gun right down the center, flip it inward, and make a river.
Oh,
Door table. Dining room table. You make it as wide as you
No,
want.
no,
It's gonna
no.
be perfect. It's gonna
If
be
you're not going to take
perfect.
this seriously, why are we even doing this show?
Also,
No.
who needs a 9-foot table? Like, do you have a house big enough for a 9-foot table, or are you gonna have to cut some off the length anyways?
Yeah, who
A
needs
9-foot,
That's
a
true,
9-foot
that's
table
true.
is a big table.
That's a big table.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys already had all the
I
good
agree with
answers.
everything here except for whatever Braden said. Don't.
You guys already had
Lot
all
that-
of the good answers, so I had to go
Swing for left field.
I had to go
Yeah.
controversial. I had to go controversial.
Ooh.
So
Ooh, I have another
hot
idea.
take.
Photo backdrop stand. Using it as part of the backdrop scenery or whatever. Like some people like to set up a little studio and just move some stuff around. It could be a great little vibe
Oh, actually,
on the door. That might be cool.
That is a good
actually,
Mhm.
that
Her name's
there's the
Ashley.
market. There's a market there where you could rent
Yes.
one.
backgrounds
Door.
for photo.
Oh, rent the door.
Yeah, actually,
Yep.
People love that.
Yeah.
rentable background. That's actually
You
Not a
could
bad- not a
even
bad
you
market.
could even put a mosaic on one of, because does the door have little, I'm thinking like
Yeah.
like a little cutout or something,
yeah.
you
It's
know,
got
that, like,
got panels or whatever. Yeah.
yes, thank you. You
Yeah.
could mosaic that. Yep. Put mosaics in that panel, and you can then use that as, you can rent it out. So like people would
Like
rent that for
weddings as like
weddings.
a
Yep.
photo booth backdrop for weddings.
Or birthday parties. People will rent it
Yeah.
out for birthday parties. You can have little like lasered attachments that you can put onto it,
it could
and
be
pop
it could
off.
be
I love this
a
idea.
ongoing like income.
Yes.
driving-
Passive income. Passive-ish.
Yes.
Or you bring it to a
Yes.
show and all that, like you just make mosaics that fit those windows that it would create.
Uh-huh.
And then when a customer's like, "Oh, that's so cute," well, like I sell that. Boop, pop
There
it
you
out,
go.
and
Pop
then
it
there you
out.
go.
Boopity boppity.
Boom.
Woody boppity. There you go. It's like, you see, the more we talked about this, at first I was like, door, I don't like that. I don't know what what would I do with it. And now I'm like, I have 10 ideas. I love it.
Fill it with concrete and make it a workbench.
Don't do that. Definitely don't.
Yeah,
do
now
that.
I'm just thinking, man, I need to go get my hands on like a bunch of old doors.
Vintage doors.
Or
Bro, my original workbench is an old door.
So is mine.
Top. Yeah, it's a solid core door. It's not ornate.
No, it's not.
Dan, I don't know where we're gonna put all these doors though.
you could take all your
Brim's
stickers
house,
from
obviously.
Workbench and cover it.
There you go. There you go.
There would not be any room on that. I have so many stickers I need to put up.
Mine are all in like a little bag, and I haven't known what to
Oh.
do with them, but I just
You
remodeled
guys.
the shop a little bit, and I have a plywood. It used to actually be the cash wrap station that I would take with me to shows, but it was too big and bulky, so I took it apart, but I had painted like a retro stripe on it. So I was like, this will look cool on the wall. So I just attached it to the wall behind my miter saw, and I think I'm
Oh.
gonna cover it in stickers.
You innocent little angels. I have all my stickers on
Your tool bench.
No, on my garage door. Yeah.
They're some of them are kind of, you know,
It's starting to weigh where the door doesn't want to open. It's too heavy.
Skews off the door.
I should do a story on that, actually.
I don't own my house, so I want to put them somewhere where I can take them with me when I leave.
That makes sense, actually.
I put the ones I like. I put them on magnet backers, and I cut it out. I throw them.
Yeah, mine's not one of those, actually.
Oh,
I have 3 more of these panels I have to make for the rest of them.
I could probably fit that back wall from all the sticker swaps because I used to do sticker.
Oh, are we having a pissing contest on how many stickers we all got?
No, we all have a
more.
lot of stickers. Although I do have an Adam Barnett sticker, so I do have the biggest
You could
sticker.
literally fit, Adam Barnett has the biggest sticker ever. It's a Barnett billboard. It's like this big.
Okay, cool.
Well, guys, this we're at like 2 hours. This is awesome.
Sorry.
Ashley, you're amazing. This is so cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can everyone find you?
On all platforms, Ashwood Hawke, and my website is ashwoodandhawke.com. Made it really easy. Hawke with an E.
Hawke.
An E at the
Actually,
end.
we didn't get into that. I want to know where the hawk comes from.
So it's actually my son's middle name. And my dad, it was always my dad's favorite bird. Like I remember as a kid driving, he'd point him out everywhere. So it became his middle name. And then when I was trying to figure out a business name, I was like, I don't know, it goes. So that's what it is.
Makes sense.
I like it.
The Ashwood part, I feel like is self-explanatory, but
it's
a little bit.
We should talk after. I need a little bit more.
Because your name's Ashley and the woodworking. I'll explain it later.
Okay. Tell me when I'm older.
Really got to spell it out.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, is there anyone else you want to thank? Maybe.
I always want to thank our patrons. Thank you to each and every one of you who help us keep the lights on. If you're not watching this video on the YouTube, you can see that we all have like special lights. You help us keep these lights on. Literally. If you want to help us out financially, you can go over to patreon.com/anotherwoodshop podcast and sign up for one of our tiers over there. If you don't want to help us out financially, we get it. You don't want to send us money? I understand. We're a bunch of bozos on the internet. You can help us out by sharing our show online, word of mouth, in a birthday card to your grandma.
Grandma, check these guys out.
Yeah. You could just share. Just share. That's all. That's all we ask.
Grandson, what does Riz mean?
If I'm at a loss for words all of a sudden. I'm out of words.
Yeah, well, no, thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. Like Dan said, you help keep the lights on. Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Maker Camp. We cannot wait to see all you guys and give you all big hugs at Maker Camp.
And butt pats.
And butt pats. Good job, buddy.
Good game.
It's such a great event, and it's becoming a really fun family event. So we highly encourage bringing your family, significant others with you. It's definitely growing as an event, and it's just way more fun. Such a blast. Worth checking out.
It's way more fun when you're there.
Yeah. And Dan, what's
Ooh.
our secret code phrase?
Our secret code phrase this week is raw dogging dowel.
Oh, I forgot how awful that was. So send that to awpgiveaway
You're
at
welcome.
gmail.com. And most importantly, I want you all to go check out Ashley. Go check out all of her sites and go check the links in the description of the show because it will have the link to the 30 and 30 post. You can try to get your very own sign either for your business or for your lovely house or your rental or your camper or your, wherever you live. If you live in the woods, attach it to a tree, great.
Keep it in your van
Give it
down by
back
the
to
river.
nature.
It's a great deal because guys, these signs, like real talk, these signs, they're not cheap to make. These are very nice pieces of art. Like they cost money.
They're
It's
unique.
a good deal.
One of a kind.
Bussin'.
If you're like, I kind of thought I wanting one, this is the deal you want. So jump on it. Absolutely. You want to check that out. And then use code AWP for an additional $5. So it'll cost you.
Oh, did we pass this? Did Ashley agree to this?
No, it's not a discount.
Oh, he's charging you $5 more.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
premium.
this is awkward.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Next week, Braden, we got a guest, right?
We do. We've got a Mike from Calavera Toolworks. We're gonna see if he can start some fires on the air with us. Get a little leather action.
Ooh,
A little karate, but no, I'm really excited. He's a ton of fun to talk to. I will be shocked if we keep that one under 3 hours.
Legally.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of
I
which,
need to
we're
take a nap.
basically approaching 3 hours. Ashley, thank you for joining us. Guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all next week. We'll love y'all. Bye, 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 bye.
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 Love you long time.